exciting and thought-provoking edition of the Love Power Show. And make sure to call somebody, because we're on the air, screaming loud and sparing none. We're discussing all of the relevant issues, everything from the sublime to the ridiculous. We make the sublime clear. We make the ridiculous make sense. We have guests who are exciting, interesting, knowledgeable, thought-provoking, fascinating, and if you don't believe me, just hold on, because right here, we debate the issues, we take positions, define and defend those positions, offer analysis, we present solutions, while at the same time we provide leadership, and we provoke thought. And today, right here in the studio with me, to my right, Brother Talut, El-Amin, and to my left, Brother Omar Baruti. There's a vast wealth of knowledge and information right here at this table here. Yes, sir. Yes. And we are expecting two more, and I've just been informed that they are coming. Lonnie Simmons and Jeffrey Steele enter
into the Hall of Fame.
Yes. And so today, Jeffrey, we're talking about, look, this is a paper by one of our famous brethren, Dr. Boyce Watkins. And we've critiqued papers on this show before, right?
That's right.
And this is what critical thinking is all about, right? It's not about reading something and regurgitating it, right? I got away from that a long time ago when I was in my early 20s. Okay. But we're going to critique this paper. I think we'll find it meaningful. Is everybody situated properly? Can you see Omar? Are you in there, Omar? You good, Lonnie? Okay, sure. Kind of state. I think it's all about the seating, so we can all be seen. Now, critiquing this paper, Dr. Boyce Watkins says 27 ways black people are brainwashed from birth, I read. And so, I say to that, these are also a number of ways that African Americans destroy themselves as well. Let's go for number one. Letting our oppressors educate our children, medicate them, and put them into the school to prison pipeline. That is, in my estimation, a powerful statement. Let me hear from someone who wants to go first.
Well,
come on.
It is a very powerful statement, and brainwashing is not a complicated concept at all. Brainwashing is just simply saying the same thing to someone over and over and over again, and eventually they're gonna believe it. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a lie, it could be the truth, it could be anything. If you repeat it over and over again, a human being is going to form an opinion that it has to be right because it's being repeated over and over again. Okay, so the thing about our birth and the brainwashing is actually coincidental and accidental. And it's the genetic information bank that's passed from one generation to the other. And in many cases, that information is totally incorrect for black Americans. So our parents, an example is this, our parents of old discipline us, seriously discipline us in many cases. And many times they would say that I'm going to discipline you at home so when you get out in those streets, the police officer or the white folks you won't be beaten or killed by them. So our discipline at home is a direct correlation to other people and how they treat us and how we are being treated when we go out into the public. So during modern times, and we're still teaching our children these things, during modern times we're just passing information along from one generation to the other in saying that some people out here are going to hurt you if you don't act right. Some people, and another example, some people in the restaurant are going to be upset if you don't behave yourself in the restaurant. You understand what I'm saying? So basically, what we're from birth to adulthood, we've just been given reactionary information akin to an effect of slavery. It goes all the way back to the old lie that the ghost is down on the road in the country at night to keep you from wandering around and perhaps being kidnapped or abused by white people. Okay, so the thing about it is, we have to at some point in time stop the brainwashing. And if you notice, the conduct of other people and their children in restaurants are totally different from ours. We make our children sit down and behave because they are watching. They don't care about what you think about theirs wandering around and doing their thing. Okay.
So, Jeffrey, I want to go to you next. But there's something jumping out there that I want Omar to address as well. You heard African American parents say things like, I will kill you or I will beat you so that the police won't kill you. Does that make sense at all? Either way, you're dead. Is that right?
Right.
You've been killed. Based on the contradiction, I'm going to save you your life or save you from the police, being killed by the police. That is something that he's just referred to. Is this, two things, is this a mark of insanity within this contradiction? And also, is Dr. Boyce Watkins talking about something that has gone on since the advent of slavery, Jeffrey?
Oh, absolutely. What first comes to my mind is and it's mostly, in my recollection of the statement, it's been women who have made that statement to their children.
It's been mostly women.
Mostly women that I hear make that statement. And the reason why I'm going to point that out, and I feel that that is valid, is, like you said, it goes back to what Dr. Boyce is saying, but not only Dr. Boyce, it is still following within the theories of Willie Lynchism, where it talks about how the woman rears the children or the male child in a way that makes him compliant or not rebellious towards, in this case, in this society, for people of African descent, not rebel against his oppressor. And so they're in her way of trying to save this young male child in this predatory society, she is already what do we call it? She is already stifling him, or she's not allowing him to address.
It's called arrested development.
Right.
She's setting him up to be killed anyway.
Right.
He's dead either way.
Either way.
If she kills him, he's dead.
Right.
And if she doesn't have the proper information, he's going to be dead.
That's right.
Anyway, walking around dead. He's going to look. Dr. Boyce Watkins says, from this particular school system to the prison. Mm-hmm. So, is this dead or what, Jeffrey? Is this a mark of mental death?
Oh well, this is absolutely, and what it also brings about is what we call learned hopelessness. It's almost like, well, I'm damned if I do or damned if I don't.
Okay.
Or who's going to really? You understand the notion of just being helpless. They don't want us to really, or they're scared for us to do the things that we must do to claim our place in society, out of fear that once we're in adulthood, that we will be persecuted by the police, which that is actually what's going on anyway. Mm-hmm. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I understand. I hear three things coming out of our response thus far about number one. That is mental death, improper information, and stifling the growth of your own sons, primarily coming from women, based on their fear, thinking they're saving their sons. Because now, we have to keep in mind that this whole equation about family being important and family having been destroyed as a result of slavery and the effects of slavery, I say that's a real that's a real scenario that we see each and every day in the African American community. Lonnie, may I, if you want to say something about that, that's fine. But let's transition to number 2. And you can address both. If you want to say something about number 1, that's fine. But let me read number 2 to you. Okay. Believing that white people are supposed to give us jobs when we can actually create them for our own. Given our long and rich history of working for white people, it can be difficult to see ourselves as the boss instead of the laborer. And this is some more indoctrination that I hear. Tell us about that.
Which brings us to the first point, which, it said that, we allow our enemies to teach our children, right? Mm-hmm. So if we allow, think about it, what other country, if you go to China, who's teaching the Chinese children?
Mm-hmm. Chinese.
Right. Mm-hmm. So if you go to India, the same thing. Well, how are we allowing our children to be taught by the same groups of people, white people, that has terrorized us since we got here? Okay, so then how can we expect them to teach us how to own our own business when we are in a capitalistic system that it thrives basically on cheap labor? So if I'm the employer, right, and I need to make more money for my business and myself, I'm going to teach him how to successfully help my business. I'm not going to teach him how to be a good competitor. You see? So, how can we? Are we seriously depending on these groups of people, white people, or any other nation, really, to provide us with the resources or the intelligence to create our own business?
It makes no sense, does it?
It makes no sense. That's what you call insanity. Right?
It's insanity. It's also backward thinking.
You're right.
So if you're thinking backward, more than likely you're walking backward. And if you're doing these two things, you are definitely insane.
Yes,
and we're not trying to disparage anyone in particular. We're just calling it as we see it. And is this called critical thinking?
That is
critical thinking. Omar, take 1 and 2, or 1 and 2. And if you want to, we'll go down to 3. 1, 2, and 3. So, Omar, can you pull in just a little bit so we can catch you on the camera?
I was listening to Dr. Talut speak about, children in restaurants. It so happens I was at a restaurant enjoying a meal 2 days ago, and it was a business luncheon. 3 of us were meeting together, and right at the table next to us were 2 white ladies and 4 white children.
Okay.
I didn't really pay any attention until we got up to leave. It looked like a pig had come in. And there was food everywhere. All over the floor, all over the table, all over the chairs. And the waitress, you could see frustration on her face that she got to clean this mess up.
Okay.
But they were throwing rice at each other, throwing green beans at each other, and their parents are sitting there on the phone texting and looking at, one of them looking at something on YouTube. I'm thinking, you got some savages in your face. And if our children did that, we would beat the hell out of them. Right. Your children are doing that, and you don't seem to care.
Right. Exactly.
We have, we are brainwashed ourselves, and we are participants in our own brainwashing. What Lonnie was saying earlier about jobs and versus being entrepreneurs. In the social fabric of Black America, we do not teach our children how to be entrepreneurs, and we don't even have them to aspire to be that. We teach them what kind of job are you going to get when you grow up. We don't ever say what kind of business are you going to open when you grow up. And then show them examples of Black folk that have gone into business and ask them, why don't you be like that one or like this one or like that one? It's always, why don't you be a clerk at Walmart or be a clerk in the 7-Eleven store or some other place, but you're never going to, even in the high school, won't you be an employee of this company or that company? It's never are you going to do what you need to do to be self-sufficient and make jobs for your own people. We got to change the mentality, but it was given to us by the white man and we still carry it today. Even in the food we eat. We came off the plantation eating slave food. The stuff the white man threw away. The hog chitlin, the pig foot, the head, and all that, threw it away. Now that we are so-called free people, we still eat the chitlin, the hog head, and the pig feet. As if we're still enslaved, we just put a little hot sauce on it now. Something wrong with the thinking.
Hot sauce.
Look, we take slave food and decorate it with hot sauce, and we think we got something. We ain't slaves no more. Something wrong with it. Even the music. We had our own music. Now the white man controls the music, and he just pay us to sing the music.
Okay.
It's our beat, but it's his message in the music.
Okay. So what is slave food?
Slave food is food that's not fit for human consumption,
Okay.
including chitlin,
Okay.
pig feet, hog maws, all the things that the white man threw away because he felt like it ain't worth eating. It was something you threw away because it has no nutritional value that would help you sustain life.
Is it true that the slave master turned around once he saw Africans utilizing certain things that were thrown away, capitalize on those things, as in children, put them in big red buckets and on the market at some of these stores around here?
You know, that's a modern concept. I had a grocery store in St. Louis when I was 23 years old, and the owner of the store told me back when he opened the store, back in the 40s, that they still threw that away. They'd have big grocery stores. They would take pig foot and put them in a big pile in front of the store. Anybody come get a whole bucket of them if you wanted to. They still didn't sell them. Same thing with chitlin. They would just pile them. People come take them away.
Okay.
It was still refuse.
Okay.
It was just, the dumpster would get them and nobody else picked them up. And then later on, they started packaging it and selling because they felt like, oh, these people eat that stuff. Let's
Now-
make some money off of it.
Right, and we're talking about reversing this indoctrination, this devastating indoctrination. And so the way in which that is done is through the educational process that we don't necessarily see being taught. Like Dr. Watkins was talking about the school system from school to prison, to prisons. So therefore, education should be non-traditional, and it should include subjects like this in terms of what you were saying, Talut was saying, reversing this whole trend.
Let's look at that too, because
Yeah.
we in America, I wish we did have a whole section called Black Africa. We just go there and that's where we live. That's how we take care of our values and our culture. But since we live in America among other people, then we go to their educational system. But in America, the Japanese go to American schools, but on Saturday they have a Japanese school at home or in the community. And they teach the Japanese children how to be good Japanese so they don't lose their values. The same thing with Arab children. How to be a good Arab. You got American education, but you got to learn how to be who you are, because you ain't that. Even the Jewish people, they do the same thing, how to be a good Jew. We don't teach our people any of that. We have lost our culture, and we have accepted a toxic culture that's killing us and keeping us enslaved.
Yeah. Talut, number 3 here. And we've talked about family and losing this and losing that. Culture and family, we've lost that. We've lost good values, and consequently, we've lost our minds. Is that right? In generally speaking, that's just a true statement. Is that right?
Yeah,
and it's indicative. It's apparent, and we're speaking in general terms. It is apparent in our behavior, in the way in which we do things. Right?
That's right.
Let's shift to number 3. Talut. He says, thinking that every black person who goes to prison is automatically a bad human being. Mass incarceration, he says, is real, and it is not by accident. In other words, we hear things like, he must have done something.
That's across the board. I mean, if a cop kills somebody, our mentality, our people thinking is, he had to have done something. Because these good white people, these good killer cops would not kill a man unless he has done something to deserve to die. Because in our minds, the Caucasian people are both judge and jury, pardon me, in all 3. Judge, jury, and executioner.
Yes. Okay.
They have a right to kill us. That's what we really believe. See, we've been brainwashed, indoctrinated, and colonized. Okay, all 3. And it is done to us through the public school systems. You see, we would be better off if we educated our children according to our philosophy and ideas, without all the sophisticated books, without all that stuff, and teach our children how to become women and how to become men and how to take care of themselves only. If we just did that only, we will become successful people. But we don't believe that. We believe that these people who write these sophisticated books for each grade, who happen to be Caucasians, disseminate these books throughout the South, or the Southern states, disseminate them throughout the United States of America through the school system, have a better plan for us to live by than we do for our own selves. The second thing about that is this. We devalue our children wholesale. We do not put into our children what other people put into their children. We do not invest in our children. Why? Because we don't think that investment is going to pay off. Like we don't invest in business, because we don't think business is going to pay off. Everything that people in the world invest in and get a payback for, we don't think we're going to get the payback, so we squander it.
Now also,
Yeah.
do we see there's no, not really a large outcry from African Americans when their own is being killed and gunned down? And listen, you talked about the jail, jury, and execution. Eric Garner, that's a prime example of what you just mentioned on the streets of New York City. Is that right?
That's right.
A prime example. So, have African Americans been hoodwinked,
Yes.
bamboozled?
Yes.
And here's the killer. Sold a bill of goods.
Yes.
We don't have the goods, but African Americans have a bill. And the bill is a distorted mental
Sure.
attitude
Basically-
about who they are and their children. Is that right?
Basically, we are insane in comparison to other people around the planet. Other people around the planet all see us, the black Americans, as insane. Because we don't do the things that a people would be doing for themselves. We truly believe Caucasian people and we are the same. We believe we are the same. Okay? There's no divide between Caucasians and black Americans. There's no partition.
Right.
We're the
And
same.
We believe that because we have not studied and critiqued our own history and critiqued the other history of others as well as it applies to our condition. And that is why. That's why. Jeffrey, number 3, he says that thinking that every black person who goes to prison is automatically a bad human being. No, number 4, I'm sorry. Scratch through that. Eating food that is going to give you diabetes and heart disease and or high blood pressure and or chronic obesity by the age of 45. Maybe eating pig guts, sweet tea, and sweet potato pie every Sunday. Isn't such a good idea after all? Now we started talking about this whole slave food diet, this whole soul food thing. So Jeffrey, is it important to look at all of these cliches and point out how bad they are for African Americans? Is that?
Oh,
go ahead.
Absolutely. I think you had a guest a few weeks ago who talked about the importance of food, the foods that we eat. But in this case, when we're dealing with the idea of brainwashing, our primary source of information is really not books. It's really not what people have to teach you, but I'm talking about our primary source of information. When a baby comes out of the womb, and even before he comes out of the womb, he is being nourished by his mother. So after he comes out the womb, he becomes nourished by his mother, and if she's breastfeeding him, she is providing that nourishment, but that nourishment is also, in this case, information. And not only information, but we know that illness is caused by mucus.
Mhm.
And so we have to find out what foods we're eating that is causing these mucuses, because Dr. Seppi says that the key to all illnesses is eliminating mucus from your system. But in this case, when we're talking about high blood pressure, which runs in not only my family, I'm sure the majority of most African American families, and it is a result of us eating that slave
That's
food
problematic.
that
Go
we're
ahead,
talking
keep
about. Definitely a result of us eating that slave food that we're talking about. We haven't come to a lot of African Americans here have not come to the conclusion that it's just not healthy to eat swine and pork 3 times a day, or maybe not even at all. You know, but everything, you know, too much of anything will hurt you. That's just one example. If you look at all the drinks that you have to choose from in your grocery store, you turn and look at the label and the ingredients, the vast majority of them, 95% of them, the very first ingredient you're gonna see is high fructose corn syrup. Well, what's high fructose corn syrup? Oh, it's like super duper duper sugar. And we wonder why our people have a problem with regulating their sugar and their insulin levels. It's because they're feeding us the poison and we're consuming it without thought and not critically analyzing and making the choice about the things that we put in our body. So that's definitely problematic, and it does tie into this whole idea of brainwashing.
Okay.
Because these eating habits in a lot of cases are provided to us by our parents. You know, they didn't know better, so they teach their children to follow the same habits without question. And that's what we're talking about here is brainwashing. And I'm not sure if we came up with a definition on the word brainwashing, but I just want to give a quick
Drop it off.
well, we're just going to make that synonymous. Brainwashing is going to be synonymous to conditioning, you know, or programming, or in sociology's point of view, social engineering. So when you think of brainwashing, think of conditioning, programming, and social engineering. Also, you can think of brainwashing as an indoctrination that is given without a just explanation or a comprehensive understanding as for why you're receiving that indoctrination.
Okay.
Or
You-
like
you
an
should wanna make
example,
one more.
just like an example of that would be in kindergarten. I remember learning how to say the Pledge of Allegiance without understanding what the words meant. So I understood, well, I had the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America memorized and had to say that every day. But it wasn't until later on in life that I really realized what it really means to even pledge your allegiance to anything, let alone what those words mean, you know, in the Pledge of Allegiance. That's just an example.
Yeah, and that could be something that we may take up later on down the road. I think we've got a couple shows lined up, and then that is important what you just said. Lonnie, Dr. Boyce Watkins has looked at something that I'm sure we've all looked at, and I haven't really made as many observations in Jackson as I have here in Memphis, but he pointed out by 45 years old. And around here in Memphis, I see lots of young men who've lost legs, limbs, riding around in wheelchairs and scooters, and some people in grocery stores. They spreading, taking up a whole aisle. You know, they're so big and still reaching for more food. You know, reaching for the red meat. You know, the big ribs, and holidays coming up and all that, and getting ready to eat some more, and get fatter and fatter, and more heart disease and more high blood pressure. And he's talking about young African Americans as well. What has been your observation of that? Let me go to number 5. We're coming down to 30 minutes.